Hello, I'm Melissa Mowbray, and I would like to talk to you about the spiral of silence theory. Have you ever wondered how a person could sit silent while a decision's being made and complain about it later? The spiral of silence could be to blame for that person not speaking out when it mattered most. Elisabeth Noelle Neumann was a German political scientist who created the spiral of silence model. She used her model to explain the status of Jewish people during World War II. An entire group of people became silent under the majority rule of Adolf Hitler. The spiral of silence reasons that when a person realizes their viewpoint is in the minority, they will not speak out. I'd like to explore the spiral of silence theory, look at ways it can affect public opinion, and discuss how the age of the internet plays into this theory. Let's begin by examining the spiral of silence in more depth. Elisabeth Noelle Neumann created this model to show how the spiral of silence works. At the top of the spiral, people will be more willing to share their opinion and speak out against certain subjects. Towards the bottom of the spiral, this is where people will become silent. They're realizing they're in the minority and they're not going to speak out, rarely or at all. These arrows indicate the media in feeding in information into the situation or issue, what may have you. And this side would be a person's interpersonal group or support system and that information that's feeding into that. Her theory indicates that once a person has found themselves to be in the minority of an opinion, they'll be less likely to share that opinion, or they'll just remain silent. Fear of isolation is what will prevent them from speaking out. How do we determine what the majority or public opinion is? Many researchers have looked deeper into how spiral silence works to form public opinion. The first thing to note about how spiral of silence affects public opinion is that researchers have been limited in their success in recreating the theory in a lab or empirically. One researcher, Thomas Bodor, addressed this issue in his research article, published in the International Journal of Public Opinion Research. He stated two reasons for prior researches failing. One, the timing of the test is absolutely critical. And two, prior research had asked individuals, instead of groups, their opinions on morally important topics. By addressing these two flaws, he successfully captured the spiral of silence by creating two test groups and surveying each immediately following the campaign debates in the 2004 Bush versus Kerry presidential campaign. The groups were surveyed only after the media had announced a winner of each debate. The media plays an immense role in the forming of public opinion. Many times media will use an exemplars to help tell a story. An exemplar is a personal testimony or a field expert's opinion on a matter. How many people do you know that will begin a sentence? Dr. Oz says. That's the power of an exemplar. Studies have shown that the perception of public opinion is directly related to the percentage of exemplars presented for each side of a story, more so than any numerical fact. How does all this relate to spiral of silence? To understand how the spiral of silence works, one must understand also how a person or group forms a public opinion on a matter. Michael Hughey and Carol Glenn's article, published in Communication Research, explains that when considering any type of expression, a person will mingle our own thoughts and desires with considerations of the norm for our environment. Our media plays a strong role in how we view our norm of our social environment. More recently, the question of internet and social media has come into the forefront. Elisabeth Noelle Neumann developed this theory long before the internet ever existed, and until 2011, no one had studied the effects online participation had on the spiral of silence. Online opinions are farther reaching and become a permanent fixture once expressed online. When surveyed about this, respondents claimed they felt less isolated when in an online environment versus a real environment. And if you'll remember, fear of isolation drives the spiral of silence. However, even with that lessened fear, respondents to the survey were still less likely to speak out due to the potential of criticism and negative responses. Ultimately, the researchers found that the spiral of silence exists, no matter what the channel of communication. The spiral of silence says a lot about the nature of humans at their core. Elizabeth Noel Newman understood that and was able to develop this model to help us better understand why people act certain ways when faced with morally important issues. Researchers have spent many years trying to understand how a person determines their opinion to be the minority or the majority. Few have been successful in recreating this, but as Bodor found, timing is everything to capture the silencing effect. 2 years ago, the first research was completed to explore how the internet influences the spiral of silence, finding that although fear of isolation isn't as strong for online participants, we're still less likely to speak out if we deem we're in the minority. By having a deeper knowledge of this topic, we can understand how a person or a group may react in a social environment or to different issues. The next time that you're about to clam up in a social situation, think about the spiral of silence. You will become the minority if you don't take a chance and make your opinion known. Who knows? There may be a few others around you that feel the same way. Your courage could help them come forward with their thoughts and possibly change your group's outcome to a decision. Thank you.